We're continuing here with Erik Anthes and his aunt, who is Representative Cheri Reisch from mid-Missouri. Cheri is a state representative out there. And Erik, the thing that's impressed me the most over the last few years, and we even had this crew come to Eureka, groups like Team Rubicon, which I think is mainly veterans, yes, who they get together. And they are completely volunteer disaster relief services. Boy, Erik, veterans do so much for our country, and they really remain the unsung heroes when they're in military service and when they're out of military service. We don't give them enough credit.
I agree, and that's one thing when I came back and got out of even when I was in, is to make our state recognize that and make Missouri the best place for a veteran like me or like any of us, that we incentivize them to come home to Missouri.
And before we get back to your aunt here, what are some of the things you're working on for veterans currently here in the state of Missouri?
That's a great question. We had a great year legislatively.
Okay.
We had a sweeping Senate Bill 573 that Senator Wallingford carried on the Senate side, and Charlie Davis, who is terming out, he was the chairman of the Veterans Committee. He carried on the House side. And that is sweeping. If you got a minute, I can run you down. I have it right here.
Yeah, go ahead and tick that off.
So our National Guard and Reserve troops, they do a lot of the work around here when disaster strikes. Active duty got a tax break. Their military income doesn't get taxed. Well, now we're phasing that in for our great National Guard and Reservists. Stephen Lynch, the Show Me Heroes program. Now, when you get out, you have 5 years to use it. That helps you find a job, get situated. That's a huge program for our state. If you want to get out and start a small business, veterans now have access to the Link Deposit program with preference. And not only for that, the private sector can now give veterans hiring preference and not get in any trouble. That was
okay.
Representative Nick Shore, shout out to him for that.
Yeah, Representative Nick Shore is a fan of the show, a friend of the station. He's on the shows frequently. And
we also are now one of 2 states with a Veterans Bill of Rights that guarantees a veteran access to a veteran service officer in the state of Missouri.
Well, that's great. Well, Erik, I think you know that this station, FM News Talk 97.1, is a huge supporter of our military men and women. We do a lot of different programming for them throughout the year. That's why when you pinged me about coming on, I said, absolutely, let's get you in here. So thanks for everything you've done for our country. Thanks for everything you continue to do. I know you got more work ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it.
For sure. So back to Aunt Cheri here. Missouri State Representative Reisch. Cheri, last topic I wanted to cover with you. There's been a lot of news about Facebook and Google and Twitter, and unfortunately, their biases against conservatives. And it dates back years to some of the elections, to some of the propaganda, I'll say, that they push. You got swept up in some of that, didn't you? You have a personal story about this.
I do. I'm currently being sued in federal court because I blocked some bullies and haters on Twitter. It all started back in June of this year when, at a candidate forum, my opponent is an avowed socialist and has started the Socialist Party in Boone County. So
you're running against one of the Ocasio-Cortezes of the world,
Absolutely. And we opened with a Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer, and she refused to do both, but I called her out on it on Twitter for not doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
So you told the truth and you got in trouble.
Absolutely. So the bullies, I won't mention a name, but a state representative came on Twitter and calling me a liar and that I lie on the House floor and on and on and on, and I started blocking people. I don't need to put up with that, and they're just doing the dirty playbook. So here's what I found out after Donald Trump was sued in New York District Court that he couldn't block people. And they started copycatting that. They're doing it to the governor of Kentucky. And so I guess I'm getting good company. They're doing it to other Republicans. So I'm the first in Missouri to be sued for blocking bullies on haters and bullies on Twitter.
Boy, Cheri, it's always do what I say, not what I do, huh? They're the ones who are the first to call somebody a bully and say this, that, and the other thing. But it turns out the left these days have been one of the biggest perpetrators of violence and hate speech and anger and government suppression of our First and Second Amendment, and you could probably go through most of them after that. You've seen it right there at Mizzou.
So many times.
And those people those folks at Mizzou, maybe they had some legitimate complaints here and there, but they really harmed the flagship institution and still recovering, I imagine.
We're still recovering. We have new leadership in President Moon Choi and new Chancellor Alexander Cartwright. And so we think things are turning around, but we estimate it's going to be a couple more years to recover from that fallout. But I'll tell you, I got heckled right off the MU campus, and I was at a high school in Columbia at, of all things, a bullying forum. And I was bullied by a student and her mother right out of the building.
Yeah, Cheri, it has nothing to do with bullying. It has everything to do with they believe that their free speech trumps yours. They believe that left-wing liberal free speech trumps conservative thought.
Look, I'm old school. I like to talk to my constituents by phone, in person, by email. And if somebody's calling me names by phone, I'll just hang up on them. If they're calling me names to my face, I walk away, and I encourage people to walk away.
Okay, we got about a minute left.
So don't at me on Twitter.
Cheri, how can folks find you online, Facebook, Twitter? How can they find out more about what Representative Reisch has done and what she hopes to do for the people of the state of Missouri, especially mid-Missouri?
You know, my office number is 573-751-1169, Cheri.Toalson-Reisch at house.mo.gov. But just Google me. You'll find me.
Absolutely.